Okay, so we'll get started with our first movement, which is going to be the arch and flatten. You've got either a soft carpet to lie on or a mat, and then your Z fold blanket near you and within arm reach. Find yourself lying down, feet on the mat, knees bent, arms wherever they want to be that's comfortable. And we'll take a quick snapshot to see where we're starting at and see if anything is shifted by the time we've finished. So let's take a note of where in our body holds the most weight as we're lying here. Is it in our hips, shoulders, head, maybe arms? Where do you feel the most weight on the mat? And take note of any discomfort or pain areas or areas of tension. And let's see if there's a difference from left to right. First, starting with the arch. So if it doesn't cause any discomfort, slide those hands underneath the arch and see if one of them is easier to slide under and larger on one side than the other. Or is it really hard to slide your hands in there maybe? We all have a natural S curve, but how much we're arched will differ. Then notice your arms. Are they at different angles to your body based on comfort? Are palms up, down, in towards you, different from one arm to the other? And then maybe notice where your shoulders are in space. Is one floating or feel like it's floating up towards the ceiling more than another? Or is one pushed down into the ground a little bit further? Is maybe that shoulder blade poking into the mat more on one than the other? So gather all those pieces together, and that's our starting snapshot. And we'll see if anything has shifted after we go through this arch and flatten movement. First piece, the arch. We'll bring your attention to the tailbone and start to bring the tailbone down into the mat, which brings an arch into the lower back. Tightening those back muscles and letting the belly float up a bit. And slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae, let the back come to rest back to where it started. Exhaling when you get there. Exhaling, and the breath is really helpful in releasing excess tension. So we'll take advantage of that. Again, going into the arch, tailbone arches, comes into the mat. Those back muscles contract. You can think about it as pulling a cord up through the belly button. And then slowly let that cord go as the back eases slowly onto the ground. And exhale again. Its complement is the flatten. So again, attention at your tailbone, but this time the tailbone will come up towards the ceiling, which presses the back gently into the ground by contracting the belly muscles. It's not our feet that are pushing into the ground that are making our back press into the mat. It's the stomach muscles tightening that pushes the back. And slowly let those muscles unleash, release, back to where they started. Exhaling. And one more time, tailbone comes up towards the ceiling, pressing the back into the floor by tightening those stomach muscles. And then slowly release. If you notice any jagged or staccato movement, that's okay. That is a really good sign to go small and slow. That's part of what we're working on, is smoothing out those muscle movements by keeping our brain aware. And make sure when you come back to where we started that you don't just release the muscles to get back there. Make it nice, slow, and controlled. That's the way you get the most benefit out of this therapy. So now we'll take the two pieces together. I'll walk you through it. We're going to do arch, pause with an exhale, and then flatten, pause with an exhale. So first, arching the back, tightening those back muscles, really feeling them tighten. Don't go into pain or discomfort, just go as small as you can. or as is comfortable. And then slowly change your mind and release those muscles back down to the floor. Exhaling when you get there. And now, by flattening and bringing the tailbone up towards the ceiling, we lengthen those back muscles by pressing them into the mat and shortening the front body. Release that front body. Let it come back to where it was naturally. And exhale. So that's the premise of arch and flatten. And now we're going to move to using this folded blanket to give us a little bit more sensation, a little bit better therapeutic benefits. So if you put the strip in the middle of your mat, it's going to go along your spine from head to tail, completely supporting it. So when rolling on to the spinal strip, keep your feet flat on the floor, knees bent, and use your arms to help balance. If this isn't comfortable, by all means take it off. That's completely fine. Or you could make it wider so that it's supporting you better. Either way, we want you to be comfortable. So don't use it if it's not. And we're gonna take a couple passes through the arch and the flatten. First, we'll start with the arch again. So remember that tailbone comes down into the mat, into the strip, arching that back. And now you can actually feel the sensation of this blanket folded along the spine, and more of a sensation in the shoulders now in that upper thoracic spine. Slowly let the vertebrae settle back down. As you exhale, and then let's move into the flatten. Tailbone comes up towards the ceiling, pressing that lower back now into this blanket. Feeling a quite a bit different sensation as we have pressure directly along the spine. And I'll even invite you to let those shoulders float up towards the ceiling just a little bit, and letting those shoulder blades kind of move away from the spine along the back. And slowly lower out of that contraction along the front body. I think from the winter we might be a little tight in the shoulders, so let them down slowly, gently. And exhale to get that final release. And now we'll go back into the arch. Tailbone into the blanket, arch in the back, and feel free to let this be really small. Or if you want, you could let this arch continue into the mid-back. Draw the shoulders slightly in towards the spine and becoming bowed along the entire back line. Changing our mind, letting the back float back to where it started. Shoulders come away from the blanket and exhale. Then let's go into the flatten. Shoulders come up as we contract the belly, back presses into the blanket. Releasing. Now do one more pass. Arch. With or without the shoulders. Flatten. Take a breath. One more for good measure. And then let's slowly push that strip away from you. Settle back onto the floor. And take some time to see if anything shifted already in this small amount of time. How is that weight distributed? How is that arch in your lower back? Take some breaths. Is there more ease or space in your back? Does it feel more connected top to bottom? keep line there as you think about those changes. And I'll let you know that even though it doesn't seem like we did much, we rewired your brain, which does take quite a bit of work for your body. And so my recommendation is drink some water. Don't do any heavy lifting or marathon running. Let your body have at least a couple hours just to integrate and let that therapeutic work be as beneficial as it possibly can for your back. And we'll see you tomorrow. We're talking about our shoulders.